everyone, and welcome back to my monthly horror roundup, where I list off every horror movie coming out in the month of December, quickly tell you what they're about, and where you can watch them. On December 1st, It's a Wonderful Knife comes to Shudder. Much like It's a Wonderful Life, It's a Wonderful Knife is about a girl who wishes she was never born, and as a result, finds herself in a nightmare reality where a Christmas killer is trying to make her wish come true. Also on December 1st, Loop Track releases on VOD. Loop Track is about a man on the verge of a nervous breakdown who takes a hike into the wilderness and becomes paranoid something is following him, unaware if what he is seeing is even real. 3 days later, on December 4th, Abigail drops on VOD. Abigail follows a girl named Abigail who befriends her neighbor and defends him against his bullies in an increasingly violent and concerning manner. The next day, on December 5th, A Nightmare on 34th Street can be seen on VOD. A Nightmare on 34th Street synopsis is, one cold Christmas, a strange Santa arrives to visit Peter and tell him 4 chilling Christmas horror stories. As well, on December 5th, There's Something in the Barn can be rented digitally. There's Something in the Barn is about an American family who fulfills their dreams of moving away after inheriting a remote cabin in the mountains of Norway and comes back to face something sinister and small within the barn. 3 days after that, on December 8th, The Sacrifice Game drops on Shudder. The Sacrifice Game is about a group of girls at a boarding school who are hunted by a gang of cult killers over the Christmas holidays. Also on December 8th, The Portrait releases on VOD. In The Portrait, after the devastating loss of her husband, a devoted wife obsesses over a portrait that looks just like him. Also on December 8th, Lord of Misrule comes to VOD. This is about the daughter of a small town priest who goes missing, leading to the town's dark history and a malevolent spirit resurfacing. Also on December 8th, Raging Grace, you guessed it, releases on VOD. Raging Grace is about an undocumented immigrant who lands a job as a care worker for a terminally ill old man, securing a better life for her and her daughter. But a dark discovery threatens to destroy everything she strived for and holds dear. 4 days later, on December 12th, A Creature Was Stirring can be rented digitally. This follows 2 burglars breaking into a home on Christmas where they find a family's long-kept monstrous secret. And somehow last only halfway through the month, on December 12th, Walden releases on VOD. The movie Walden follows a man named Walden Dean, an unassuming court stenographer in a small southern town. When he discovers he is dying, he decides to exact revenge on the criminals who escaped their prosecution. Of all the movies I just listed, my pick for my most anticipated horror movie for the month of December is, I guess, It's a Wonderful Knife. I mean, don't get me wrong, I do want to see this, though I'm not generally a big fan of the Happy Death Day, freaky, totally killer brand of modern slashers with a twist. I am a big fan of director Tyler McIntyre and his previous 2 films, Tragedy Girls and Patchwork. Tragedy Girls specifically was such a treat and reminded me of Heathers in all the best ways. In this movie, I mean, some positives: the killer's mask looks cool, the silly premise seems fun enough, it's always good seeing Justin Long in a horror movie. I'm sure overall this will be a decent watch. It's just not on the level of the movies I usually pick in this section of the video. December might honestly be the worst month for horror releases I've seen since I've started covering them in this series. There is no major theatrical releases, most of these straight to VOD movies look really bad and low effort, and there isn't even many movies to pick from. On average, I usually cover 20 plus films in these videos. Sometimes that number is even as high as 30, and I only have 11 releases this time around. Maybe I missed a couple films, but even if I did, there couldn't have been anything that interesting considering they don't even come up in a Google search. And I get it, I guess this makes sense from a studio perspective. You release your important horror movies around Halloween when people are in the mood. Unless it's Christmas themed, it makes no sense to release anything and have it compete head to head with Hallmark movies. Many normal people take a break from horror during December and instead watch some of their favorite holiday classics. So again, if I did have to pick a number one movie, it would technically be It's a Wonderful Knife, but truthfully, I'm more excited to rewatch something like Christmas Bloody Christmas or Krampus this December. Alright, and those are the new horror movies coming out this December. In the comments below, please tell me what your most anticipated horror movie for the month is. If I missed any movies as well, please let me know down below. I would love to be wrong, and for there to be a big, interesting horror movie that I missed and that slipped through the cracks. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel, Horror Flicks with Nick. Once a week, I post early horror reviews, horror lists, commentaries, deep dives, and 2-minute recommendations for underrated horror movies you can stream on Netflix, Prime, and Shudder. Thank you all for watching this video. I'll see you all back next week when I will be discussing my 10 favorite horror films from the year 2023.